Hey everybody, it's Jason Creel. This is the Lawn Care Live. Give me about 5 more minutes and I think the sun will be out of my face. So we're just going to deal with it for what it is right now. But here on a Saturday morning, and I live near Birmingham, Alabama, for those of you who follow the channel. It was weird. Yesterday it was, I think, 70 degrees. And then today there's snow on the ground this morning. So tonight is going down to, I think, 20 degrees. The high today is like 36. So it's just weird how fast the weather changes. I apologize for the lighting. Like I said, it's going to get better real soon, I believe. So let's just deal with it for now. But just here taking your questions and talking lawn care and that sort of thing, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of what's going on in the yard right now. And I was thinking about it. I'm afraid I may have made a mistake. Honestly, I put out some sod about a week ago, and I was thinking, put out some sod. It's no big deal. I put out 1 pallet of zoysia, 2 pallets of bermuda, and now it's got, it's freezing and it's got snow on the ground. And so I'm a little concerned about my sod. I may try to cover tonight because it's going down to 20 degrees. So Vincent says, good morning. If you're joining, like I said, the lighting, I'm in a situation where the sun is snowing. And I thought the cloud cover would be sufficient, but the sun, it should go above my roof line where it's coming in this window soon. And I think I'll be looking a lot less shiny here shortly. So stick with me. But if you got any questions for me, I'd love to address those. I'll tell you kind of what I'm doing with my lawn care business. I've mixed things up. I've talked to you about this. I do a lot of weed control fertilization and seeing a lot more lawn trailers moving around lately, which is a good thing. And what I'm doing with my yards right now, I'm putting out a slow release fertilizer actually. So you think, well, this might be a little early for that in my area, and it kind of is to fertilize the lawn, but because of it being the type of fertilizer it is, a slow release polymer coated fertilizer, it's going to wait and release the nutrients as the weather warms. So I'm able to put it out early. And then when the weather warms, there's going to be a lot of weed pressure on the lawn. I can focus more on dealing with the weeds in that situation. So that's what I'm doing. The other thing that's kind of going on in the lawn right now is crabgrass. And I talked to a customer. The weird thing for us where I'm at, if we in the early in the year, I'll put out prodiamine and try to get ahead of the crabgrass. And then about this time of year, in March, is typically when the crabgrass starts germinating in our area. So what I do, you got a couple options. I'll take the prodiamine and leave it in the tank just in case it hasn't germinated yet. And I put a quinclorac product. So the one I'm using right now is called Q-Ball. I'll put that in there in the mix with the prodiamine. And by doing that, I'm able to, hopefully, if it hasn't germinated yet, the prodiamine will get the crabgrass. If it already has, hopefully the Q-Ball will get it. The other option you can use is Dimension. It's supposed to help control baby crabgrass as well as work as a preemergence. So you can do either one. I've done both, and this is the one I'm going with now. If you're just joining, the sunlight is glowing, but according to I thought I had enough cloud cover because it's actually snowing this morning. So, but anyway, I think the sun's going to move shortly, and I'll be out of the glare here. All right. Vincent says, good morning. Let's start taking some questions here. Good morning. I've been looking forward to a live post. I want to ask you and further improve my knowledge of fertilizer application. Do you offer courses? So, yeah, I do have some products at lawncarelife.com. And the products I offer there are the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. That's like people that want to get into this for a business and they need to know where to start. There's also Weed Control and Fertilization Documents, which comes with like pricing charts, programs for bermuda, zoysia, centipede, St. Augustine. If you buy the Academy, it comes with the other documents too. There's the Weed Control cheat sheet, which tells you a bunch of common herbicides I use, as well as the rates, links to the SDS, links to the label, which grass types it's safe for, some notes about which weeds it can be used on. So it's kind of a cheat sheet where you don't have to look up or how much was I supposed to mix for this particular product. It's all on there for you. So those are some of the things that I offer. Gadsden, Alabama. Love all the tips targeted for this area. Yeah, I live about 45 minutes or maybe an hour from Gadsden. So I would think we have lots of the same weeds and same grass types. Wayne says, good morning. And Lorraine says, please let us know the best way to control grassy weeds. I have changeup for other weeds. If you can help me out, Lorraine, and others, if you can tell me where you live and what kind of grass you have, that can be helpful. Changeup is a great product. Now, we use it a lot on. I use it on all warm season grasses: centipede, St. Augustine, Bermuda, zoysia. But you can. It's not going to do much for your grassy weeds. So, depending on what grassy weeds you're talking about, there's Tribute Total. It can be used on Bermuda and zoysia, and it's kind of all around product for broadleaf and grassy weeds. Celsius can have some effect on grassy weeds. Certainty can have some effect on grassy weeds. But some products are better for some grassy weeds than others. So, you tell me what kind of grass you have, and if you know the name of the weed you're dealing with, that could be helpful as well. In Birmingham, Vincent says, bought my home in August, did a blanket spray for weeds. Bermuda took over about 40% of the yard. Yeah, so Vincent, if you hadn't done so, you really want to get your pre-emergent out very quickly. Do it as ASAP if you can, if you hadn't done so this year. Because when you have a really weedy yard that has Bermuda in it, I told you the sun's doing better for me already. I had a morning glare. Yeah, if you got a yard that was just covered in crabgrass and sometimes and a little bit of Bermuda, what you can do is put your pre-emergent out. And yes, that may hinder the spreading of the Bermuda grass to some degree. But my theory is, and I think I've proven this on my own yard, if you've got so much crabgrass, the Bermuda can't really spread because there's so much competition from the crabgrass. So I think go ahead, put out your pre-emergent, hopefully in January, February. If you're in, like I said, he's in Birmingham, he's in my area, and then when it gets to May, you can start fertilizing. And I would think if you've got 40% of Bermuda right now, you should be able to cover the whole yard this summer, no problem. All right. Do you use a key system when filling out your pesticides in your record keeping? Does that vary from state to state? I'm in Georgia, think about doing that also. Yeah, like I said, I sell those courses and documents and things online. And one of the other things I forgot to mention is there's a I don't even know what I call it, spray rate sheet. So for instance, I'm going to tell you how you can create your own if you want to. But so for like my round one, let's say round one on Bermuda zoysia lawn, I'm spraying prodiamine, triplet, atrazine, and surfactant at these set rates. Okay, that's pretty much what all the Bermuda zoysia yards are getting. Well, instead of handwriting or entering that in on the computer, or there's a code for that. Okay, so on an Excel sheet, it's code 1, and it is let's say atrazine 20 ounces per acre, triplet 2.5 pints per acre, prodiamine at 0.85 pounds per acre, and 2 pints of surfactant for every 100 gallons of water. That's code 1. Okay, so on my sheet or in the software, it's you write the date and 1 correlates with all those products. Like I said, I've got a section with probably 30 something different combinations of products that have a code by, and then below that are my spot treating combinations. So I've got them memorized according to my sheet, but like 45s Celsius, 48s changeup, 47s blindside, 58s tribute total, 54s metsulfuron, and they're all at a certain rate. So if I see a yard, I'm spraying it, and I get there, I'll fertilize, let's say. Then I'm going to spot treat it with Celsius and certainty. Well, that's 45 and 53 on my chart. Okay, so I might put number 7 for the fertilizer. Again, that goes by the chart, 45 and 53. So I have that available. I use that, and you can create one or get mine however you want to do it. All right, I'll be converting to Bermuda from St. Augustine between mowing as low as possible and a few blanket sprays of Drive Accelerate. Will it take over? Yeah, I think mowing low would be great for that. You could even be a little risky, Vincent, but you could potentially spray it with glyphosate right now. You may ding up your Bermuda a little bit. I use 32 ounces per acre. I mean, if you did it like 2 weeks ago, I would have felt better about it. It warmed up a little bit and the Bermuda started turning green. But the St. Augustine in my house is significantly more green than the Bermuda. So if your Bermuda is still mostly dormant and you're okay beating it up a little bit, you could spray it. Hopefully that would, you need to do that as soon as possible. Of course, not when it's snowing. But and get rid of a lot of the St. Augustine that way. But yeah, or do your prime mowing low would also be great. All right, Hattiesburg, Mississippi centipede grass. So yeah, centipede. That's Lorraine talking about grassy weeds. So yeah, change up. Let me say this, Lorraine. You don't want to use change up right now, okay? Because I'm imagining in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, your change up has got a good bit of green to it. So you can spray it when it's brown. You can spray it when it's green. You just don't want to spray it during that transition time where it's spring transition going from brown to green, dormant to green. So wait till it's green before you start using the change up. And really, any of your herbicides, just live with a few weeds there right now if you have to. I mean, if you need to spot trees, fine, but just you run the risk of turning the lawn yellow. So I definitely wouldn't get out there and blanket it until it turns fully green. And then when you're spot treating with change up, you can put like 3/4 of an ounce in a gallon of water with a little bit of surfactant. Again, at Hattiesburg, you can probably it should be green by mid-April, I would think. Your yard should be mostly green, depending on the weather. And grassy weeds, I said you can depend on what it is. Celsius and it can get some grassy weeds. Certainty can get some grassy weeds. You wouldn't want to use Tribute Total on a centipede yard. Katana, I'm pretty sure is labeled for it's good for like ryegrass and fescue and things like that. All right, Vincent said he got his first out down 2 weeks ago. That's good. You're great on that. All right, first string long hair. Good morning. What do you think about using preem granular pre-emergent in the beds? Worth it or waste of time? I'm familiar with preem. I haven't used. I don't know if I've used actually preem. We had a couple of granular products. One called Snapshot, another called Freehand. Same concept. The advantage of those products is you can spread it granularly and you can go right over the top of your shrubs and everything. So that's great. I'm not sure about annual flowers. You may have to check whether it's allowed to be used in those situations. But you can go right over top of your shrubs. The disadvantage, in my opinion, is it's not going to kill any existing weeds. So you still have to go in there with like a non-selective weed killer like glyphosate and spot treat the existing weeds. So what I do is I quit using those, to be honest with you. Nothing wrong with them. I'm not saying they're not good products. There's some definite advantages. Picture you got like a whole bunch of juniper that's just everywhere and you spread it right over the top of it. I'm using SureGuard now, which is a liquid product, and I can go ahead and mix the glyphosate with the SureGuard. And so I'm only having to go over the bed one time. It's going to kill the existing weeds and plus give me some protection for months to come. So from a labor standpoint, it's half the work because I'm not having to spread and then go back and spray. I can just spray one time. But that said, disadvantage, what I'm doing is I can only get right up next to the shrub. I can't go over the top of the shrub. All right, he is 45 minutes north of Atlanta. All right, from Wisconsin. I may have a warm season grass taking over my yard. It is the last to green out and first to brown. I fall thick and hard to push mow through. What could it be? If I had to guess, I'd say maybe zoysia. I know I've heard of people up in like New Hampshire and places like that having zoysia. So maybe it's in Wisconsin. I wouldn't know for sure. But it does get thick if it's, and that's what I've heard. I think it seemed like somebody's talking about having zoysia in Wisconsin or in New Hampshire, and there was like the problem with it. It looks good for like 2 months, but like it takes forever to turn green, and then it goes dormant so quick because y'all's growing season not as long. But for us here in Alabama, zoysia is already turning green, and it's really beautiful and will hold its color probably till October. So not ideal for Wisconsin. That would be my guess, is some type of zoysia. All right, starting out solo mowing residential lawns. My insurance agent quoted me $70 a month for $2 million liability, $25K for equipment. It's $2 million overkills, $1 million good starting out. I think I've always had $1 million, and I'm paying. I pay like $600. Shoot, I'm paying $600 a year, so that's like $50 a month. Well, $50 a month for $1 million, you're paying $70 for $2 million. So yeah, I mean, but I've always had, and I wouldn't. I mean, try not to use it. It's kind of, I don't love insurance, but I've got it. But if you just break somebody's windshield on their car or something, please don't take out insurance. I learned that the hard way. They definitely go way up on you if you start making little small claims. So it's basically there for emergency situations, in my opinion. I did a blanket spray 2 weeks ago of prodiamine and spectricide weed stop for lawns from Lowe's, which has 2,4-D mecaprop, maybe how you say that, dicamba and sulfitrazone. Hope that does the trick on my Bermuda. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I don't know where you live, Zach, but if like I said, in my area 2 weeks ago, you'd have probably still been fine as far as getting that out ahead of your and crabgrass germinating, things like that. That's the problem with a lot of homeowners is, and then I blame it on the TV commercials because they'll start advertising all these weed control products during like March Madness basketball coming up, and in our area, a lot of times it's too late really to be as successful as you like to be. So again, 2 weeks ago, I'd have felt great about that in Alabama. Where I'm at near Birmingham, if you're further south than me, 2 weeks ago, you may already be a little bit late. So, the 2,4-D, the dicamba sulfitrazone can help with a lot of existing weeds and broadleaf weeds, things like that. Sulfitrazone is what's in Dismiss. That can help with, I mean, it's a little early. I don't know, again, where you live, but you start seeing nut sedge kalinga pop up. Sulfitrazone is good for that. Prodiamine, again, is your pre-emergent. So I think you did good. Again, not knowing where you live. Weed Control and Fertilization Academy, thank you for answering my question. I'm going to try to purchase this in the next week. Definitely looking to expand my arsenal. All right, no problem. Can you suggest a good herbicide to kill rush in a Bermuda lawn? Yeah, I got a lawn in my area where the backyard, I told somebody the other day, I said, I think I could have fished a spinnerbait through the guy's backyard. It's just so wet. A little bit of yard, and I wasn't really sure what the weed was. I sent it to my friend James, who helps me out a lot. He said that's a rush. I forget the actual chemical he said. Now this was if the dormant, if your Bermuda lawn is still dormant, I would probably go in there and just kind of spot treat it with glyphosate if it was me. The other thing you do is try to fix your drainage problem, which may help over time. But he said changeup might have something in it, but he wasn't just what James told me. He said I wouldn't make any promises. I forget the chemical he said has some effect on rushes. But again, to me, your best option would be is ASAP get out there and spot treat it with glyphosate before your Bermuda starts greening up too much if it hadn't already done so. All right. Thank you so much. Love your videos. Appreciate that, Lorraine. She is down in Mississippi, I think. Is it too late to spot spray tribute total on Zenith zoysia for broadleaf weeds and some fescue in North Carolina? No, I don't think so at all. I think you that would definitely be able to knock out a lot of your weeds. So I think that's a good plan. Oh, man, look at this. Justin's a new friend of mine. He lives close by, and he wanted to hop in here. I love your you got Legos, man, on your thumbnail image here, whatever you call it. Not thumbnail. avatar. So Justin is starting out a lawn care business this year, doing weed control and fertilization, and we've been working together. And he's got new business, new spray rig, new knowledge, and he's been he's a window to his house. He's one of those guys that real mows his grass, and his yard look great. And now he's kind of taking that show on the road and going to other people and starting a business. What's the purpose of surfactant added to changeup? The surfactant basically helps the herbicide stick to the plant, so to the leaf. So a lot of the herbicides, my understanding, are foliar. What's the word? Translocated through the plant, so they need to stick to the leaf. And I wonder about that. If you got one that's not foliar, like some of them are taken up through the roots, I would think in that situation you wouldn't need a surfactant. Like, for instance, if you just went out there and put out a preemergent that needs to be soaked into the soil, you wouldn't need a surfactant. But a lot of times I'm mixing pre and post emergence together, so I'll put a surfactant there. And like I said, if you go buy Roundup or some glyphosate product, it's going to already have surfactant in there with it. So that's what it does. It helps it stick to the leaf, where the plant will take in the herbicide and kill it. So she has centipede grass. So, all right, got a break here. Let me take a drink of water, get my thoughts together. All right. Would you recommend attempting to start a mowing company with the rising price of everything in 2022, primarily fuel costs? Well, I'll say this, Austin. I think there's some pros and cons to starting a business, and this year, lawn care business in particular. What happened last year, people got a little bit nervous about things going up, inflation. And so I think in one sense, there's a lot of existing lawn care companies that are raising their prices. I raised my prices. Lots of companies raise their prices. So whenever that happens, inevitably there's going to be some customers that end up canceling on their existing service. And I think that provides an opportunity for a new company to come in and get some business. So in my early estimation, I thought that there was going to be a lot of turnover this year in the lawn care business, a lot of opportunity for new customers. I thought my competitors going up on their prices, and so I'm going to be getting a lot of calls wanting people to switch over and hire me. And I think there is a little bit of that going on. Obviously, on the downside is that, gas prices are significantly higher. And I think what adds to the downside of that is it's not only gas prices for us, it's gas prices for our customers, who may be a little bit less likely to hire an extra service that they weren't hiring last year. So maybe, they're tightening up their wallet a little bit. Maybe even some of them canceling their lawn service, saying, I'm going to do it myself kind of thing. I don't think that's the majority. I don't think, most people that have a lawn service are going to continue to have a lawn service. But again, when the economy does great, everybody's got extra money kind of thing. And not everybody, then people are hiring, business is booming. Right now, economy not doing so great. Inflation's high. People are going to be a little tighter on their wallet. So I think that might slow things down a little bit. I think there's some benefits. My advice would be, if it's something you want to do and you feel like you've got the skill set to do it, both from a mowing standpoint and a business standpoint, I think you just start when, it's kind of like if you're going to buy into a stock and you think this particular stock's a good stock, I would love to buy it when it's cheaper and that was a great time to buy it. I'd love to get in a lot of business just the perfect time. But to me, the idea is, I think this is a good stock, and I'm planning on being invested in this stock over the long haul. So if you think lawn business is good and good for you, is this ideal time? Maybe not. But to me, waiting another year, hoping it's going to be slightly better circumstances, is not the plan either. If you're going to do it, I think, do it as soon as possible and get going, because, it takes a little bit of time to get established. And if you wait another year, then that's going to be, that's not great. There's another year you cost yourself. So with that being said, I do think you got to really be strategic. Like my business is so tight. I'm spending very little time driving. I did a video recently where I talked about I do weed control and fertilization, but I did 101 yards on 3/4 a tank of gas. So I'm not driving much. I've got it close together. So the gas prices are not killing me as bad. So I think you got to be strategic. Good question. All right. Hey, Jason, will tenacity control nimble weed now, or should I wait till it greens up in Kentucky? I'm not a cool season guy, so I don't know. And I know people use tenacity all the time for all kind of weeds. So you'd have to just check the label on that one to see if nimbleweed's actually on the label. But I know tenacity is a very popular product for people with cool season lawns. Are fertilizers going up in price? Yes, they have. Well, even before things got crazy here lately, I look back at my prices like from 2 years ago. They were up about 30%. Now this was late last year. They were up 30%. Well, I'm pretty sure they're up more since then. So yeah, I mean, there's been significant price increase over the past couple of years, and I would imagine even the last few months. But hopefully, I've heard that things might stabilize over the course of the year and maybe even go back down. But things like that are predictions. We don't always know what's going to happen in the world that control prices, things like that. Hey man, I started mowing business last year, and first year was great. Part-time going into full-time. Thanks for all the info. Game changer. Do you prefer solo or helper? 42 yards now. Yeah, it depends on your situation, what you want to be. It's kind of like what you want to be when you grow up, kind of deal. Are you trying to grow something big? I mean, I would say mowing, in my opinion, is best to be able to at least have you and one or two other people, because solo, it can wear you down. And I'm not saying this year you might can do 42 yards and go, you might get up to 60 yards and feel fine doing it yourself. At some point, it's going to wear on you most likely, and you're going to be capped off at what you can handle. And with mowing, like I work solo, okay, so I do solo weed control. Mowing, you can't make quite as much money, honestly, as you can doing the weed control. So to me, but you can if you get people involved, So you gotta be profitable where you can pay help and still make money. But yeah, I think ultimately to be able to get past it's going to be hard solo to really do great in the lawn care. Mowing lawns, because like I said, let's say you got there and you mow 10 yards a day for $60. That's would be a really good day, in my opinion, mowing. That's $600 minus your expenses. So, I mean, that wears on you, and rain and winter and things like that. So, and again, 10 yards, $600 a day may not be realistic for a lot of people mowing solo. It definitely is with somebody working with you, definitely, and you make more than that. Ron, you can check out Ron's YouTube channel. He does a lot of lawn care videos. Good to hear from you. I was a pizza driver in Kentucky, got 40 yards giving out flyers last year. It's a great way to make cash flow and market at the same time. $200 a day to hand out flyers in a dense area. Yeah, that's funny. I had this is Golden Roberts talking about driving pizzas, hand out flyers. So when I started my first lawn business, it's been a while back, I had a part-time job to try to make money. And I was working for a company that it wasn't a pizza delivery, but it was another restaurant delivery kind of thing. And I remember I was trying to grow my business, and I probably didn't understand the law at this time, but I remember getting a customer or taking a pizza to somebody's yard, and the yard looked terrible. Okay. And I think what I ended up doing was sending them a postcard later or something and asking for their, seeing about their business. Well, anyway, they called me and they were not happy about it at all. And it's connected. Maybe I told her that, that's how I'd gotten the address, was from the delivery. And she told me that was illegal and it was terrible and all this other thing. And so I didn't do that anymore. So I'm glad it worked out for you. I didn't have a good experience attempting that. And I really probably shouldn't have done that. I should have been focused on my job. But anyway, Greg says, do you recommend split apps for preemergence? Well, so I do what I was taught from my friend, my mentor. We do a split app. Well, I was doing a split app early in the year, and then just going with one application in the fall. Now, I've talked to people, so like for instance, up until this year, I've been doing split app of prodiamine round 1 and round 2. But then in the fall, I'm going just one app of spectacle. This year, I mix it up a little bit. So I think the advantage of the split app is it, like, let's say with POA, let's say it's going to germinate over. My understanding is crabgrass germinates in a short period of time, like from maybe a few weeks, all your crabgrass is going to germinate. Where POA might keep on germinating over a longer period of time. So let's say you do a split out and you go ahead and get that first app of spectacle flow out in, I don't know, late August and then or let's say early September. And then you come back and do some more in November. Maybe you're covering a broader spectrum of time. So I think that's the advantage. The other advantage is it cuts your cost down for each particular application. Because obviously, if you're using half the rate, it's cheaper for you, the applicator. The reason that I was advised not to do a split out with the spectacle is kind of like I want all my force going to that one application, and that's kind of what I'm doing now with the prodiamine. Just put it all out round 1, okay, and get it all out there, full effect, and to be the most effective. Now, the reason I quit doing split out with prodiamine is because I'm doing prodiamine, then I'm fertilizing, then I'm coming back with spectacle later. So I'm using actually a different product later, and not really for crabgrass, just to target a bunch of different weeds. So, again, I know I'm kind of dodging the question a little bit. There's pros and cons, but I'm more not doing split apps now. I'm going all prodiamine round 1, come back with spectacle in round 3, and then more spectacle back in the fall to get ahead of the cool season weeds. When should I fertilize my centipede, Hattiesburg? What product do you recommend? So I buy my stuff from Harold's. It's not really, I don't think they typically don't sell to homeowners, but you could get something similar from a fertilizer store. So mine's an 1819 blend, and I do it twice, like May, and then come back again in July. So depending on what product you use, the kind of rule of thumb is on your centipede, you don't want over 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet per calendar year. Okay, so my goal is I'm putting out like 0.85 pounds of nitrogen in the first time I fertilize, and then 0.85 pounds of nitrogen the second time I fertilize. So that keeps me under the 2 pounds of nitrogen for the total year. You say, well, how do I know how much nitrogen I'm putting out? So like, for instance, my bag of fertilizer is 1819. The first number is your nitrogen. That means it's 18% nitrogen in the bag. All right. The bag weighs 50 pounds. At least my bags do. So you take the first number, because it's 50 pound bag, and you divide it by 2. Okay. So if it's 18, like it is on mine, you divide that by 2, the number you get, the answer is 9. Okay. So that means there is 9 pounds of nitrogen in a 50-pound bag. All right. So let's say you cover 10,000 square feet with that bag, and there's 9 pounds in the total bag. So that means you've put out 0.9 pounds for every 1,000 square feet. All right. You may have to run through that again, but that's how you figure it out. So if you want 0.85 pounds, then that means your bag needs to cover more like 11,000 square feet or a little over 10,000 square feet. So you got to calibrate, adjust your spreader to get it right. So again, if you're going to use I use some other fertilizers, 38% nitrogen. Well, that's more than double the nitrogen that's in the fertilizer, the centipede blend I'm using. Well, if I was going to put that on centipede, I'd have to go way less than a bag for every 10,000 square feet. It'd be more like a bag for every 20,000 square feet on a centipede lawn. Now, on a Bermuda zoysia lawn, I'm trying to put more nitrogen. So anyway, hope that helps. I almost confused myself on that one. Let's see. Hello, Jason from Lafayette, Alabama. Now, that looks like Lafayette, okay, if you're from Louisiana, but we say Lafayette here. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that. It's down close to Auburn. I got some friends from there. Chambers County, I believe. What are your thoughts on the advantage of micro clover and talking to customers about its natural nitrogen benefits with the rising cost of synthetic fertilizer? Okay. Some I'm not going to know a lot about, but if you have some thoughts on it, you can tell us in the comments. I'd be happy to show that. Clover, we typically try to get rid of. I understand there's some benefits to clover, and we're not trying to kill all the clover in the world, but typically in the lawn, we're trying to get rid of clover. So, but I would love to hear if you want to type a comment and kind of talk to us a little bit about the micro clover. I don't think there's going to be a big market for that, honestly, in my area, but I imagine in other areas there would be. Morning, Jason. When doing your chemical report after an application, do you use the yard book feature to fill it out and then fill out a hard copy for the customer, or just do yard books report? All right, Todd, this is one of the great things, one of the many great things about the great state of Alabama is we don't actually have to give a chemical report to our customers. Now, I am required to keep track of the chemicals I spray. So, and yes, Yardbook has some chemical feature where you can have it automatically populate the chemicals, and do that kind of thing. I'm not using that at the moment, so I've got my schedule. And like I said, I've talked about this earlier. You may or not been on here, but I've got a chart. It's like an Excel worksheet that has all these codes on it. Each code represents a different combination of products I spray in different rounds. So I'll write the date and the code down for the products I use. Now I could do that in a software as well, and of course email it to the customer or attach it to the invoice, but that's how I'm doing it. But obviously I'm really glad. I know that's a lot of paperwork to have to get that to the customer. I definitely would try to automate it as much as possible with a software if that was my situation. All right, thanks for the info. You're the first guy I started watching. Always a big help. I appreciate that. Appreciate you watching. I will say this. I'm going to go on a little, I bought something yesterday. Bought a couple things. I bought a pallet jack and I bought a utility trailer. I don't have a utility trailer. And I've had a lot of utility trailers, but at the moment I didn't have one. I went and bought a 6x12 single axle utility trailer yesterday. I'm real happy about. And you may think what I'm doing. So I'll just give you a quick rundown, real quick, what I'm thinking. And some of the I've got a weed. I'm solo with my weed control and fertilization business, and that's going really good. Okay, I've downsized a couple years ago. I had about 480 yards. I'm down to about 300. Super tight route, and it's very, very efficient for me. So I can get through a round of treatments in about 3 weeks. If I really pushed it, maybe 3.5, 4, if I get rain or I'm taking my time. So I could take on more customers if I wanted to, but I'm also trying to do YouTube, and that takes some time. And I've got this Lawn Care Life channel I've been doing for about 11 years. And, finally about to get to 100,000 subscribers, I think, this year. Anyway, but I've also got 4 kids, and I've got more time. Actually, I'm busy, but I've got a little more time because I downsized my lawn business. So I'm looking to grow on YouTube, looking to do other things. So what I'm doing, I'm actually starting, I hadn't disclosed this yet on YouTube, but I'm starting a second YouTube channel. And the reason I'm starting a second YouTube channel is because I want to keep my Lawn Care Life channel true to what it is, which is kind of what it's been being. I'm teaching people how to start a lawn business. I'm giving a lot of lawn tips, things like that. And I don't want to stray away from that. I think it is what it is. Same time, there are quite a number of guys that are out there doing these lawn makeover kind of things where they're mowing the tall grass, and I can't believe how tall this yard was and all that. And they get millions of views. Okay. Well, I thought that was a good opportunity for me. I've got the lawn equipment already. I just didn't have a trailer, but I didn't want to turn my channel into that because I kind of like my channel. I wanted to stick with it. So I was starting a separate channel. And we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of optimistic about it, but I'm hoping to launch it in about a month. It's called Fix a Lawn. And, you'll probably see some videos of it. But it's going to be kind of the mowing and the extreme makeover kind of lawn care, which honestly, what I found out appeals to a different audience than what this audience is. Because I want to keep this audience what it is. And maybe if I can reach a different audience. And that's me just kind of being an entrepreneur and how can I grow and keep improving year over year. So that's what I'm doing. And that's why I bought the trailer. The pallet jack is I got this metal rack on the back of my truck, and that metal rack is heavy and it's hard to get off. It's what I carry my ride-on spreader sprayer with. It's hard to move. So what I'm doing, the pallet jack, I can use the pallet jack to get the rack off the back of my truck so I can then hook up my sprayer. And what I'm going to do when I do like one of these extreme makeover kind of things, I might be taking an extra step than some of the other guys do. I can mow the lawn, obviously, but I think I can also incorporate the spray side of the business and maybe have a sure enough makeover where I can kill the weeds and get the grass to fill in and do something crazy. So that's what I'm doing. All right. Do you ever lay sulfur or see any changes with sulfur in the industry? No, Ben, I'm not going to be, I don't have much knowledge on that. What would be the advantage of sulfur? If you could chime in and help us on that one. The lawn care monster used yard book as a CRM. I do got my yard book shirt on, established in 2013. I think I started using in 2015. So I was not the first user, obviously, but I've been with them for a while. Have you ever used spectacle to slowly clean St. Augustine from Bermuda? It makes the Augie stolons not get ruined and get clipped during mowing. Bermuda crowds it out. I haven't done that, but there was a guy earlier asking how can I convert my St. Augustine to Bermuda. And so that, I guess that is another option. I hadn't thought about that, but that probably, I could see it really not, I use spectacle on St. Augustine and centipede in the fall, but at a low rate, like 4 ounces per acre. So I bet if you used it now before it starts spreading, for instance, like I'm going to be using 6 ounces in May to help try to get ahead of doveweed and things like that. I bet that would have a negative effect on the St. Augustine. That's a pretty good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Good morning, Jason. Could I put down fert right now? Bermuda is starting to wake up, only 20% green though. Well, one, that's what I was saying earlier. What I'm doing with my schedule is yes, I am putting down fertilizer, but there's a caveat to that. I'm using this Polyon slow release fertilizer from Harold's, and what it does. And I had somebody ask me the other day, or kind of question me on something I had said on YouTube. So I called my friend James, who's my Harold's rep, my mentor, and got decades of experience. And I said, James, help me understand this Polyon slow release fertilizer. And I don't know that all polymer coated slow release fertilizer are the same, but I said, is it just when it rains, does it release the nutrients to the soil, or does it have something to do with the soil temperature? He said, no, it definitely has something to do with the soil temperature. So in the past, I think I've incorrectly said that the polymer coating was kind of like this concept of licking a lollipop, that over time you slowly get smaller and smaller and it's releasing more and more nutrients. That's not true. That was incorrect. So James gave me the illustration that made a lot of sense to me. And so I'm getting to your answer here, Juan. He said it's like a tea bag. Okay, so let's say you're making tea and you put the tea bag in cold water. What happens? Very little of the tea actually releases to the water. But if you boil the water, now it's making tea. I mean, it's releasing a lot. So he said that's the way the Polyon works, is Harold's fertilizer. So I'm putting it out now. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that, I'm trying to manipulate my schedule so that I can get my spectacle out in May when the doveweed and all that's going to be germinating. So I'm putting it out now, but it's really too early. If it's 20% green, that's too early, in my opinion, to feed the lawn. But because of the way the Polyon works, it's like putting that tea bag in cold water. It's cold outside, so it just basically sits there. It's not releasing very little nutrients. But as the soil temperatures warm and then you get rain and moisture, like the tea bag, as the water warms, it starts releasing more. So I guess in theory, I could have put it out in December. I mean, it would have probably sat there, or January. I didn't start till a week or two ago. So, but I don't really think it's going to start kicking in until April or so, which is when I want it to start kicking in and start turning green. So, if you want to use that fertilizer, yeah, go ahead and put it out now if you want to. But even then, it's not necessary. I'm just doing it now so I can come back and be ready to get the weeds when they become a serious issue in the next month or so. But if you're using a more traditional fertilizer, then no, I would not put it out while it's 20% green. you need to wait till April when it starts warming up. And even in April, we get some cool weather. So I wouldn't do it in April if the weather was still cool. So it's going to depend a little bit on the weather. All right, I went full rate on I'm assuming that's prodiamine. Could I come down with spectacle flow in the fall? No, I mean, I think your prodiamine is not going to be doing a lot of good for you in the fall. So, he's maybe saying, can I use a lower rate of spectacle in the fall? I'm using 6.5 ounces of spectacle on Bermuda, 6.5 ounces per acre on Bermuda and zoysia in the fall, like September, October time frame. Centipede St. Augustine's, I think it's 4 ounces. So no, I think you need to use the full rate. If you use a lower rate, it should, what I've been told, spectacle lasts about a month per ounce you use. So if you come down to 4 ounces, let's say, you're probably going to have some problems in the spring because your spectacle is going to wear off. You recommend adding lime to centipede? If so, when? Yeah, you can add lime anytime. Okay, I don't think the timing. I mean, if your pH, what lime does is raise the pH of the soil. So if the pH, it's my understanding, the pH gets too low, then what happens is you put fertilizer on the lawn, let's say, but your pH is too low and it doesn't. The grass, your desirable plant, is unable to access the nutrients that you're putting into the soil. It kind of locks it up where it can't take in the nutrients or not taking as well. So a lot of times, if you can tell if a yard has low pH, if let's say you fertilize it and it just doesn't respond very well. Now, I think there's some weeds. I always said this. I'm not 100% sure if it's true or not, but there's some kind of indicator weeds that like low pH soil, like wild onions and wild garlic. We have a weed called broom sedge, and a lot of times you start seeing a lot of those. You can just pretty much assume. But I may be wrong on this. I've assumed, I'll say, that it had low pH. So we put out lime in November and December. That's kind of the break in our schedule where we can do it. But you do it anytime. If you got low pH, sooner the better. So you could do a soil test and get your pH back and see what it is. If your pH is not low, then I don't think there would be much benefit to doing the lime. But at the same time, I think also putting out fertilizer and herbicides, things, the pH can tend to become more acidic over time. So we do kind of what's a maintenance dose of lime every year. But if I get one that's really bad and it's low or is just not responding to fertilizer, and I can assume it's low even without doing a soil test, then I can put extra lime on that. So like double. So I use this fast-acting lime. Is from Solucal, I think, is one of the companies that makes it. I did a video about Solucal lime, SOLU-CAL. They make a fast-acting enhanced limestone. You put out basically a bag for every 10,000 square feet to maintain the pH. But if you want to raise the pH, they recommend basically doubling that. So a bag for every 5,000 square feet. So that's a fast-acting lime. If you get like kind of the ag store and go get lime, probably going to have to put a lot more out. In your opinion, what is a good starting place to get fully educated on fertilizing lawn? I want to start providing that service. I don't know where to start. Michael, there's, to me, best case scenario is you have something like in my situation where I had a mentor that understood the local weeds, local grasses, things like that. Because it can be regional. Now, as we talked about earlier, I offer some courses and things on my website, lawncarelife.com. Those are mostly for warm season grasses. So if it's Bermuda, zoysia, centipede, St. Augustine, you may consider that the Weed Control Fertilization Academy. But if you can find someone local, that would be awesome. I don't know if there's like a book, to be honest with you, that's going to help you. That you might can learn a lot about the weeds and the fertilization and stuff with information online. But as far as running a business and the things else you need, it's kind of tricky. So that was one reason I felt like I was sort of meeting a need by creating the products I've created. Again, local mentor would be awesome if you can find that. What gas lawn edger do you recommend using? As far as handheld products go, I haven't had one of their edgers, so I can't say. I like Husqvarna trimmers. And so that's what I use around my house. That's what I've been used in business for a long time. I'm not saying Steel's bad or Echo's bad or Red Max are bad or anything. I just personally like the Husqvarna trimmer. So if I was going to go buy an edger, I would probably get a Husqvarna. If you like steel trimmers, I'd get a steel edger. If you like, I've got a battery powered one that I got from Milwaukee Tools, and they gave me one of these combo tool things that's got the pole saw, the hedge trimmers, the string trimmer, the edger, and all that. So I just got a driveway poured at my house this year, so I finally have something to edge, and I've probably been using a string trimmer and all that, but I might break out my old Milwaukee battery pack one this year. But anyway, Husqvarna is my kind of go-to with the trimmers. What is your application method for a fungicide on? Well, you can get fungicides on granular or liquid, depending on what your capabilities are. So the advantage of having a granular, like so for me, I've got a 400-gallon tank, split tank, and let's say I'm out there and I want to treat a fungicide. Instead of having to go empty out my tank or put a bunch of fungicide in there, which can be expensive, by the way. If I've got a granular, the granular is more expensive than liquid, but I can just use that granular on that 1 yard, water it in, and be done with it, and not have to worry about filling up my tank just for 1 yard. Now, if you're going to go out there and spray a bunch of yards with fungicide, then the liquid again is cheaper, and you could go ahead and fill your tank up and go knock out all your fungicides at one time. My understanding on the fungicides, what I've been taught, like, so a lot of times they'll show up here soon as the grass starts turning green in our area. You'll start seeing where there's damage to the lawn from fungus, and sometimes they'll be active. Typically, if they have some color around the perimeter of them, like you see a big large patch or brown patch, or what, all these patches they call them, and if they have like orangish reddish tones around the perimeter, that means that it's probably still active. But if it's all brown and then you go into a green grass, probably the damage is already done. And at that point, you just need to start trying to get the grass to recover. I wouldn't even put a fungicide out. But what you'll notice, if you get a lawn that doesn't drain well and it just seems prone to fungus year after year, and you notice it in the spring, what you don't often realize is that probably started back in the fall. And the damage was going on throughout the winter, but you didn't see the damage because your lawn was dormant. And then when it turns green, guess what? Big brown spot. So what I was told to do is put your fungicide out in the fall, about the time you do your fall pre-emergent, before you get that cool night that starts feeling like fall and the rain and everything. If you can get it out right before then, water it in, then hopefully you can help get ahead of that fungicide to prevent it from happening. Because a lot of times the curative process is slow in recovering. Like if you've got a zoysia lawn, they don't bounce back real good. But you can, if you get a big damaged area in your lawn, you can get down there and look and see, is there some green tissue here in the damaged area, or is it totally brown? Oftentimes there'll be some green plant tissue down close to the soil, and that gives you some hope that, hey, it's just damaged, it's not completely dead, and it's going to fill back in. You may use some gentle fertilizer to help it recover. He says liquid. Okay. Well, yes, hopefully I answered your question on that. He said St. Augustine is taking a bit of fungus hit right now. I had there are a couple you could check out. I think Heritage is a fungicide. Fame, I know I had this Fame G, which is their granular one, and those are, my understanding, kind of broad spectrum fungicides. Is going to help with a lot of different types of fungus. I've got some kind of chart somewhere that I got from somebody that was broad. I remember seeing it the other day, but it kind of talked about a lot of different fungicides and which particular fungus those work best on. And like I said, if you get one that's kind of broad spectrum, some of them are going to be better on one particular fungus than another. And I actually went through some kind of training class recently where I had to learn a lot about that. So I got about 5 more minutes. If there's any more questions, bring them on. So we got snow here in Alabama. If you're just joining us, that's a little bit crazy. And but it's only going up 36, going down to 20 tonight. So what I'm a little bit concerned about is we were up close to 80 a week or two ago. So our grass is starting to turn green, especially the St. Augustine, centipede, zoysias are more green. The bermuda is not as green, but the problem is, now we get in this hard freeze, 20 degrees tonight, and snow on the ground. I think you're going to see some damage. And I even put a little bit of sod out at my house. I'm a little nervous that how that's going to respond. I tried to cover up my peach tree. It was blooming. I tried to put a blanket over it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to look like, but don't be shocked if it got really cold at your house like it did mine, and freezing weather and your grass had already started turning green. You may see some different colors on your lawn. Your centipede, and you may see some reds and oranges and yellows and different colors where it took a little bit of a hit from the cool weather. But hopefully it won't be serious and it'll bounce right back, and just going to be a temporary discoloration, which is okay. He said, same here in South Carolina. We'll be in the 70s or 80s for 2 weeks, and tonight in the 20s. So, yeah, I got a feeling in South Carolina, I know they got a lot of centipede, St. Augustine grasses in those coastal areas. Oh, Minnesota here stays cold. Yeah, I would imagine a little snow's not going to hurt your grass up there. So, our grass is a little bit different. They start coming out of dormancy, then you get that cold weather. It sets them back a little bit. But I'm going to get out there. Hopefully tomorrow, getting up in the 50s, going super cold tonight, getting up 50s tomorrow. And next week's looking good again. I'm out there fertilizing my Bermuda zoysia lawns. And again, using this slow release, trying to get them going. Then come back starting like late April through May. I'm going to be busting them with the spectacle. And I'm not just sure if I'm going to mix anything with the spectacle or just go in straight spectacle. So I'm planning to use 6 ounces of spectacle on the Bermuda and zoysia lawns to help with Kalinga, doveweed, some of these the spurs, chamber bitter, things that gave me fits last year because we had a lot of rain last year. I'm hoping it doesn't rain quite as much this year. But I can't decide if I'm mix them. Like if I had a yard that's just covered in Kalinga, and I've got some of those, should I put a low rate of sulfitrazone in there with the spectacle? The spectacle is supposed to help with the Kalinga, but I know also the dismiss, which is the sulfitrazone, can help with the Kalinga as well. So I thought about on a couple of yards doing the spectacle, but spiking it with the sulfitrazone and just double whammy in the Kalinga, because a few of them just the Kalinga got me killed. Second round pre-emergent. I mean, I told you it's a little bit early. So higher rate of prodiamine round 1 with triplet, which is a broadleaf 3-way herbicide, and then atrazine. Then I'm doing slow release fertilizer round 2. And so, I'm coming back May time frame, which will be my round 3. This is the first year I've tried this, but I'm feeling real optimistic about it and doing the spectacle. And then round 4, I'll come back with more slow release fertilizer. That gets me through the year. And then round 5, I will do weed control, nut sedge and all that stuff. Hopefully it won't be as much as it was last year. Hopefully not as much chamber bitter and spurge and all, if this spectacle plays out well, which I'm hoping it will. Round 6, I do 7 ounces. So round 6 is my fall pre and post emergent. And then round 7 is lime. Now, the centipede St. Augustine, I only do 6 treatments. I'm not going to be doing spectacle in the round 1 is a little bit of pre-emergent with some atrazine for weed control. Round 2, I use this granular, very low nitrogen granular product that's basically trying to help the lawn recover from spraying. I want to be real careful not to spray it in round 2, which is now, because you can really set back a centipede or St. Augustine yard if you spray it during transition with a herbicide. Then round 3, I start with my 1819 fertilizer. Round 4, more 1819 fertilizer. Round 5, I use a lower rate of spectacle, like 4 ounces per acre, and use simazine with that. And then round 6, lime. So only 6 apps on the centipede St. Augustine, 7 on Bermuda zoysia. That's how I run my business, and it goes great. Those programs are available at lawncarelife.com. The weed control fertilization documents, it kind of tells you the rates and everything of what I basically just told you. Spectacle good for helping with chamber bitter. I got a feeling it is. The chamber bitter is giving me a little bit of fits on. So I think it's breaking through a lot of my prodiamine applications. So I got a feeling the spectacle is going to do much better on chamber better. So I'm hoping there's a few yards I know get eat up with it, and I'll probably be able to tell. But the other weeds I'm really push me to do in the spectacle in May is the doveweed, which is become a problem in our area, and the kalinga, and then chamber bitter will probably be third on that list. Best treatment of spider mites and leaf-eating caterpillars. Oh man, I don't do a lot of tree and shrub stuff. I know I've got some stuff. What did I got? Xylem or something like that. ZYLEM, I think it's one. But I'm sorry, I wouldn't know. If somebody wants to chime in on that, I wouldn't be the best to answer that. But there's some products that you're going to spray the tree, and then there's some that they're systemic, so you're going to spray around the base of the tree, and they'll translocate up they move up through the plant, and going to help you with those different insects and things like that. All right, guys, been fun. Our hour is up. I'm going to try to do these more regularly. I'm thinking maybe every other week. I've got one or two guests lined up that I'm excited about. So it's not going to be just me on here. Of course, the lawn is always changing. There's going to be more interest as the lawn turns green, warmer weather. People get more interested in lawn care. So trying to accommodate you guys, and appreciate y'all watching. And I'm trying to do 3 videos a week on my Lawn Care Life channel, minimum. Sometimes doing some short videos on top of that. And as I announced earlier, I am going to be doing a second channel, hopefully launching in about a month. It's called Fix a Lawn. So I am excited about that as well. All right, hold on. We got a couple more. I'll see. Thanks for answering the question. What do you think about biostimulants? I mean, some of the products I use have like humic acid in it and things like that. So my understanding is those are important to the soil and help the plant be able to take up some of the nutrients. Enjoy the lives, and I got here at the end. Bummer. You can go back and watch it. If you're just getting here, it will be live on the channel. I'm not live on the channel, but the replay will be on the channel, so you can go back and watch if you want. I just warn you, if you got here late, the sun was blaring in my eyes for like the first 5 or 10 minutes. It was snowing. I thought I wouldn't have to deal with it, but anyway. 4 foot of snow on my lawn. Any help? Wait till it melts. I don't know what kind of grass you have, but I said we got snow too in Birmingham. It may ding it up if it's warm season grass. If it's cool season grass, I imagine probably nothing to worry about. But for us, may cause a little damage, but when it melts, it should bounce back. Just while it's damaged, don't go out there and bomb it with more herbicide because you got 3 weeds in the yard. Let it recover. Okay, let's think about plant health and not always just pounding it with more herbicide. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.